Hey, hey everyone. Welcome to this very exciting training this evening. My name is Margiela Prandi, and I'm very excited to have Dr. Carrie Sarda with me tonight. We're going to be talking about Nueva Body, which will be the first product that we bring to market coming very soon. So I've been in the wellness space for 35 years, and one of the things that I've always loved is being an early adopter to something that I know can be life-changing. So 35 years ago, I said yes to a company that I stayed with for 35 years, actually until it closed its doors. Some of us have come from that company and our founders here at Nueva. And one of the things I loved was we were very pioneering and disruptive in our science. We led the clean label revolution. And literally before people were even reading food labels, people were barely reading food labels. We were taking toxic ingredients out of daily essential products. I loved telling that story. And I say this only because peptides are new science for me. And since I knew that we were going to be launching them, I've been studying. At this point, on just the two peptides that we're going to talk about tonight that are coming in one product, Nueva Body, I probably have spent dozens of hours studying this. And as I delved deeper and deeper, I started thinking, in the beginning, I was just excited about the weight loss benefits, right? Like, this is going to be amazing, amazing for people with a sedentary lifestyle. But as I delved deeper, I thought, this is the answer to everything. And like, I want to shout this from the rooftops. And so I'm really excited about this evening's conversation. And we have three objectives. Dr. Sarda and I want to, for those of you who may be new to peptides, and I know not all of you are, but we want to demystify it a little bit and just help you understand what they are, how they work. And we also want to reassure you that while these are emerging science, they are incredibly safe. And also answer a few of the questions that we've been getting that are, the most common questions. So if you could bring up that first slide, please, Sean. And then I would like to introduce my partner this evening, Dr. Carrie Sarda. She is a board certified OBGYN that expanded her education with two master's programs in regenerative medicine at the University of South Florida in Tampa and Georgetown University School of Medicine. So she's got vast experience. And one of her areas of expertise actually is peptides. And so we're excited to have her speak to us on this. She has spent back up, babe, back up, back up, back up. Am I here? I don't see myself. Can you guys see me? All right. So she has over 25 years of formulating, teaching, lecturing, teaching patients around the globe. And she runs a very busy regenerative practice and is the National Medical Director of 10X Health Systems, co-founded by Gary Brecka and Brandon Dawson. So welcome, Dr. Sarda. So nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's go to the next slide, Sean, if we could. We're going to talk tonight about Nueva Body. And as I mentioned, this is going to be the first product that we bring to market somewhere in the week of June 16th. We will be bringing this amazing product. And tonight you're going to hear all about the benefits. Next slide. So we've brought together two very powerful peptides to create a duo that we're calling Nueva Body. Dr. Sarda, could you just tell us why these two peptides are so synergistic and why they are a really beneficial duo?
Absolutely. So the fact that they've been put together is one, very unique and super exciting because they both do very similar things in different ways. But you're getting the combined together for even more powerful effect. So the SLUPP 332, we call that SLOOP for short because it's long, and it basically is kind of a way to do aerobic exercise by taking something oral. So it's actually activating muscle activity, this like you would as if you were actually doing it, actual aerobic exercise. Um, it the thing that we love about putting the SLUPP or the sloop, I think most people will begin to call it sloop, and it'll be recognized as that. And our 5 amino Q, that's what we call that for short, is again, we boost our NAD. And we've talked about NAD before at times, but NAD is, think of it as your charger for your cell phone. Think of it as the charger inside your cells. It's what we do with our energy that we create from sugar that we bring in. When we eat, when we consume glucose, we turn it into our energy, we turn it into our ATP, and then NAD gives us all the power that we need for our cells. So we all have NAD. We would not survive without it. The problem is you start losing your levels over about the age of 35. You start decreasing your levels naturally. And also all our biotoxins that we're exposed to more and more after, with each generation, each decade, we also decrease our NAD levels. We also, I think, have to admit that we're decreasing our aerobic exercise, especially as we age. So we're losing NAD, we're not exercising as much. So it makes complete sense to make a product for the body that gives you mimics aerobic exercise and increases your NAD, therefore increasing your mitochondrial, your cellular battery for energy. So that's why when you put the synergistic effect of exercise and increased NAD, that's why you get total body optimization.
That's amazing. Would you go to the next slide, please? Um, so obviously we encourage exercise, right? But this sloop is so incredible because it actually will stimulate the benefits of aerobic exercise, even when exercise isn't happening. So it encourages lean muscle activity, and it may help with muscle atrophy in either sedentary or aging individuals or somebody that's recovering from a surgery. This has incredible benefits, but also even just for people that really want to maximize their expenditure of energy and life and have a fit, lean, healthy body. This will multiply your efforts along with exercise. And then I'm going to just really quickly mention the mitochondrial function. This is where I had my biggest aha moments, because what I know is that as goes the mitochondria, and a healthy mitochondria is literally at the core of a healthy life. If we want to avoid preventable disease, a healthy mitochondria is the very core of that. And so maybe just speak to these two again. I know you've already kind of addressed it, but just anything you want to add to that?
Well, I do think that disease really almost should be renamed mitochondrial dysfunction. We now know that. We know that they're synonymous with each other. So anything you do to help the mitochondria will slow disease, will slow aging. You'll be healthier in general. Uh, this this peptide can actually cause mitochondrial biogenesis, or in other words, actually increase your mitochondrial number as well as the function. It's been known to do that. There's been quite a few animal studies, mostly in mice, that have demonstrated where you have increased muscle gain with the sloop. You have weight loss just from increased muscle activity. And the thing thing that we didn't mention about Sloop is it has the ability to switch over the type of energy that you're burning, what we call our yellow fat, our stored fat. So in other words, it's how you can the choice of fuel that you use. We would much rather be burning stored up fat. And that's what this loop will help you do. That's a benefit of it. So that's where you're getting the weight loss from it, which is obviously a very nice thing as well. Uh, Mostly we're concerned about the health and the mitochondria, but we sure do like the
Yes.
benefits of the weight loss.
It's awesome benefit, especially attacking that very difficult to reach fat, maybe even visceral fat, whatever the case may be. When we're burning fat as fuel, we're very efficient in our energy, right? Not the ups and downs. And I think, let's talk about it promoting fat burning and muscle preservation and increase overall endurance and metabolic efficiency. When we say metabolic efficiency, we're essentially just talking about what Dr. Sarda just said about can you turn, how quickly can you access fuel, right? When you eat something, your metabolic efficiency is how quickly you're able to burn it and utilize it. So, does this also tie in with Sloop's ability to help with insulin sensitivity?
Right. So we know that exercise gets glucose or sugar into the cell to start that burning process the same way that insulin does. It's the only way you can bypass insulin. And so many of us experience insulin resistance or difficulty, or we're not efficient at our insulin and our burning ability. So exercise takes that place. And because you are mimicking aerobic exercise, you're literally bringing in the cell. You're taking less stress on the insulin receptors and the pancreas, and thereby secondarily kind of treating insulin resistance. It takes months of exercise to break that chain. Why not help it with Sloop and make it happen quicker?
Exactly, exactly. Next slide, please. So this is an area, Dr. Sarda, where I spent a lot of time researching. I looked first at what are the benefits of a healthy mitochondria, what occurs when the mitochondria becomes unhealthy. And I love how you just simply said, really, it's the most important factor to preventing preventable diseases, right? So when I saw this, okay, so it inhibits NNMT. So what is NNMT? It is an enzyme that depletes our body's natural resources that we would use to create NAD. Now, we all know that NAD is the molecule necessary to create ATP and keep a healthy mitochondria. And so if this now, 5-amino 1, if this now inhibits the NNMP that then boosts NAD, this is a really big deal for mitochondrial health, correct?
Absolutely. So what that enzyme does is it literally what we call it breaks down basically. It causes you kind of lose your NAD levels. So if we block that enzyme, your NAD can remain the same, or and while your sloop is increasing everything. So it's a very good balance. It was a very good idea to put these two peptides together. It's natural to lose NAD. That's just the process of living every day. We're just going to slow down how quickly you do that and how much you do. And in the process of doing that, we're going to be able to increase your metabolism, right? Remember, that's what NAD does. It
Yeah.
increases metabolism, it increases energy. We know that we've seen that 5-amino Q also plays a little bit in your fat burning and your muscle, just like Sloop does. So again, we're combining that benefit. So we're going to get our weight loss as well as our improved metabolism. Therefore, we're going to get increased energy. It all just kind of builds on itself. And anytime that you have more energy, weight loss, you have less inflammation, you're going to have better insulin response. We're back to that insulin sensitivity again. You're going to have better clarity. So, so the combination again is very unique with with the 5 amino Q and the sloop together.
So something stands out to me on that slide, Dr. Sarda, and that is the mental clarity. I think I get so excited about how these products that we're bringing to market, which I really feel are next level. Um, we are trailblazing and we are amongst, like we're first to market with some of this stuff. We're amongst the first to market. That is a great position to be in. And I think also about our Nueva Nitro, which you and I have spoken about as well, and the mental clarity that that brings. And I'm seeing now how this layers on with the 5 amino Q, and what an amazing synergistic effect that will be, not to mention how synergistic these two peptides are in this one product.
I do, I do really want to stress the mental clarity part is very, very well known to be associated with 5 amino Q. And it probably just has to do with having better NAD levels. I don't know that we even actually know why it happens, but we just know that that attention spans and focus and again clarity are what happens when people are on 5 amino Q.
Fantastic. Let's go to the next slide. And this is just, a little bit of a recap here. But maybe you can speak to anything there that jumps out at you as unique or significant.
Well, definitely the fact that they are synergistic, so meaning they work well together. That's all that means. They're going to work well together on the mitochondria, so we're going to have less disease process, less pathology, less tearing down, less normal wear and tear. We're just slowing everything down. That's why it's a longevity peptide. When you're slowing down the aging process, I do think that this product is a longevity product, and I think it's an energy product, and I think that where we're going to find our biggest use and our biggest benefits. We know from animal studies right now, mostly, that we, as much as, gosh, like increasing endurance, some of the studies that that you and I have looked at, a ton on this have been, up to 40% increase in endurance, 12% weight loss, decrease in BMI, your stamina, the recovery process. Those are all things that are associated with putting these two together, that we can with the sloop and the 5 amino Q. This product, I think, on this slide, it points out the midlife time. It's a time when we are more sedentary. It's a time when you don't recover as well, and you certainly don't have the same endurance, both physically and from a mental standpoint. And it's because you're losing your metabolism, you're losing your muscular strength, you're losing your you're losing your cell charge ability. We got to charge the cells. We need that NAD. So everything is decreasing. Plus, we're having more stress put on every decade. So this is a way to kind of to fight fire with fire, so to speak. This is a way to fight it. And putting these two together is brilliant.
So let me just mention, of course, you know this, Dr. Sarda, but for those listening in, we're going to have 50 milligrams of the 5 amino Q. We're going to have 1 milligram of the sloop. Now, there is a lot of research that shows people have gotten really impressive results with 250 micrograms. So this is significantly more beneficial and more bang for the buck, so to speak. Next slide, please. I really, one of the primary objectives of this, Dr. Sarda, is just to help everyone know that this is safe. While it is emerging science, peptides, these are safe. And a lot of times I get this question. So is it FDA approved? And I gotta just go off script a little bit here and say that a lot of people are under, just gonna speak candidly, that a lot of people are erroneously under the impression that the FDA is there to protect us. And my personal opinion is that they are money-making machine. For something to become FDA approved, it needs millions and millions of dollars are spent, maybe a decade or more of research when it's really actually even something that could be naturally occurring. And let's not forget the fact that the FDA approved opiates, which have ravaged, you know, society to some degree, and that the FDA also approves vaccines, some which are wonderful and some which may be questionable. So, any comments you want to add to that? I know it's a touchy subject, but just anything you want to add?
Well, sure. I think the thing you have to remember is the FDA has to be based in what they believe are scientifically proven facts, and that costs a lot of money and it takes a long time. So unfortunately, many things go by the wayside or don't get looked at because the money's not there, or there's not a profit to be made off of it. So that doesn't mean it's bad or wrong. It just means there wasn't money there to do it, or that's not where people wanted to put their money. They wanted to put it out on their product. And it, it just like bureaucracy, we all know that it's not always the most efficient. And sometimes I believe, as well-intentioned as the FDA is, because that is its job, is to protect the people. As well-intentioned as it is, I think there's lots of areas that could be improved on, lots of glitches, things like that.
Thank you. Okay. You guys know my opinion. So, there is, as you've mentioned, there's clinical and preclinical research. Some of this is just kind of a little bit repetitive here. But what I do want to point out is that when you take this peptide, you're turning your body into a higher performance machine.
Correct.
And if you are somebody that wants to go full out and like just leave it all on the table, use it all up while you're here, this can be incredibly supportive. I mean, I guess it would be a good question to ask, why would somebody want to take a peptide anyway, Dr. Sarda?
Oh gosh, there's so many reasons, but I think if you want to biohack aging and you want to biohack energy, I think biohack is a great word to associate with peptides,
Yeah.
because it's our way of fighting all that, of slowing it down. And when you alter, and we've just kind of found the hack, and it's been peptides. And talking about safety, gosh, I've worked with peptides for so long now. It's been such a big part of my training and my career and my life. And uh, and if you don't know what a peptide is, it's basically the term protein becomes a peptide when it's less than 40 amino acids. That's it. That's the definition. And so let's go back to what it's made of then. It's a short protein. What are we made of? We're made of proteins. Your body has seen all of these proteins, all these rings that these peptides are made of. We just don't have very good levels anymore, or we've messed them up. So so in other words, we know it, we've seen it. We're just getting better levels of it. We're biohacking with proteins called peptides. All of them. It's just that each one has a particular purpose.
Pathway, right? A unique pathway, a
Right,
targeted purpose.
right.
Yeah, we'll be talking more about other peptides later, but thank you
Sure.
for that. Kind of taking us back to peptide 101. The thing I would recommend along these lines is that when you turn your body into a high performance machine and you're upticking just all of it, it's really important that you also take care of yourself, like drink the water, get the sleep, move your body as much as you can, all of those things. And before we kind of go to the final slide here, I want to just throw in a few questions that have come up. One of the questions, Dr. Sarda, is what is the difference between injectables and ingestibles, because a lot of people are getting injectables. I know they're quite costly, and there are probably some pros and cons to each. What do you have to say in that regard?
Well, use them both, of course, and there's nothing wrong with either one of them. I think the thing we have to all be honest about is the convenience of an oral peptide versus an injectable peptide. The biggest difference would be how it gets in your body, right? One has to go through the stomach, through the mucosa. So you have peptides that are tough and rigorous and that can tolerate the pH in the stomach and can be well absorbed. And you have some that cannot, and they only they're only seen in the injectable form, I should say. So that's one point. We know with injections, they're not particularly comfortable, and
Right. People don't like needles, honey. Yeah.
it's a process, and most of them have to be refrigerated, and it's a medical process that we all don't necessarily really want in our daily life. You have to be so careful about where you get your injectables to, because you have no idea, actually, most of the time, what's in them is in them, or were they hot on the truck? How long have they been in storage? What's their best use date? It's a very, very complicated process, and you see lots of injectables on the internet all over the place, and it's quite scary, actually. So
Yeah.
if you come back to the oral, it's more convenient. We're giving peptides that are able to be absorbed through the GI tract, through the mucosal lining, and have been proven to work that way.
Yeah. And we, for injectables, we actually don't know how current the certificate of analysis is, right? Like it's not like a use by date comes on them, or, and anything like that.
Sure.
So,
Temperature's a big
um,
thing. A lot of those peptides are rendered inactive at certain temperatures, and it's just really hard to guarantee that.
So the consistency, it's good for consistency. It's good for, obviously with an injectable, you're going to get like 99% absorption. When you take a vitamin C orally, you absorb about 50% of it. With this, you're going to likely absorb between 50 and 75%, because it's formulated in a press pill, but it's in beadlet formation, which means that it's protected, as you were saying, as it passes through the gastric juices so that it can get to the pathways intended. Um,
Correct.
and so the next thing I want to discuss real quickly is cycling. What I understand through with this product, with Nueva Body, is that you will be on for 2 months and then off for one. Why do you cycle peptides, Dr. Sarda?
It's very important, and if people don't respect this, they're just wasting their time. You get what's called receptor fatigue. And so, or tolerance, you might have heard the word, like you become tolerant to something. Well, the same thing happens with your body that's receiving that signaling from the peptide. So you're getting kind of a hyper signaling from these peptides so that you get all these benefits, right? It's the brain modulating the organs in the body to do something. And that's natural. It's supposed to do that. But as your levels decrease and you're bringing your levels back up, the receptors are, they're on 100%. And after a while, the body will down regulate its response. So if you just give that little break, that 4-week break, the receptors open up again and they're ready to go. So it's receptor fatigue is
Mm.
when you cycle peptides. There are a couple of peptides out there that I'm sure later on that we'll run into that don't do that. But the majority of them will cause you'll build up a tolerance, and you just have to rest the receptors for a second.
Got it. I love that. And so these two peptides that we're bringing together for Nueva Body are actually synthesized, lab synthesized, and versus naturally occurring. And so everywhere that you look online, everybody's calling these two things peptides. But what they really are is small molecules, which is great for absorption, that follow the identical pathways, interact with the receptors, So even though they're lab synthesized, they behave exactly like a peptide when we take them in the body. And that's really what it comes down to, whether it's naturally occurring, whether it's lab synthesized. Lab synthesized also does have, I mean, I think some pretty distinct benefits to it because you can be very targeted in, what you're putting together. It's controlled potency. The availability, I don't know how naturally occurring, how available and scalable that is, whereas lab synthesized, which these two are, um, uh, they're just, it's more sustainable. I don't know what you want to add to that at all?
Well, I think you did a great job of describing when you make something bioidentical, the body doesn't know the difference. Great example, taking vitamin D or getting vitamin or the sun, right? The body acts the same, just like you described. When it's bioidentical, it does the function it's supposed to do, but you then hit on the fact that it's consistent and the dosing is the same and your product is the same from time and time and time again. So the benefit, I think lab synthesized products kind of get a bad rap sometimes, and that people forget consistency and they forget that bioidentical looks the same to the cell receptor.
Yes, I think it's so important. And the fact that you've worked with them for so long, you haven't seen any negative side effects, is just very reassuring. And yeah, the way that Nueva Body will come is in a 30 day supply. So you would need 2 bottles and then you would take a pause and then come back again. Is this the kind of thing that do you take peptides forever? Do you take them for a short time to achieve a result? Are there some you take forever? Some, I mean, just curious about that as well.
There will always be peptides in this body. I can guarantee you, I can guarantee you that. Uh,
Yeah.
because we, all of us are always aging and we're always exposed to biotoxic illnesses. And I just think it is so phenomenal that we have found a safe way to mimic what our body did decades ago, and we can still preserve that.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll do with peptides. No, there's no age limit on peptides. You do have to respect the cycling, like we just talked about. You do have to respect the work of the receptors have to receive the product and tell the body what to do, so we can't wear them out. But as long as they're done correctly, peptide and especially peptide stacking, that's what this is termed, the fact that we brought two uh, peptides together, you would call that peptide stacking. And that's a well-known, well-practiced medical prescription
Yep.
for people.
Yes. Next slide, please. So peptide-like compounds, for a while, just out of accuracy, referring to SLOOP and 5-amino Q, I was just calling them peptide-like compounds. And then I just noticed everywhere, everybody's calling them peptides, because what it really comes down to is, how does your body respond to them? Do they follow the peptide? Do they follow the pathways, right? So anyway, I think we've kind of, gone over this. SLOOP and 5-amino Q, powerful duo, lean muscle mass, mental clarity, huge overall vitality, backed by science, designed for everyone, but especially that midlife metabolic reset and your body optimized. So I just want to thank you so much, Dr. Carda, for being with us tonight. Thank you, Sean, for helping with the technology and the slides and all the things, streaming us live into the Facebook group. And any last words, Dr. Sarda, and then we'll make this a wrap.
No, I'm excited for it to come out. This in anybody that is, especially midlife, generally peptides are for the healthy individual. We don't necessarily want you using peptides to treat an illness. We don't want you replacing peptides for activity itself. We want you to use it to enhance. I think the big word to walk away now with tonight is peptide stacking, which is what we're doing. Biohacking, another big keyword that we should talk about. Mitochondrial health. I'm just trying to give you some buzzwords.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. And the
fat
start and the stop of it,
burning,
that mitochondrial health. Sorry, go ahead. You were going to say one more.
fat burning. I didn't want everybody to forget the fat burning, and then
Absolutely.
the energy, mental clarity that comes with that 5 amino Q. That that's what people are really going to notice.
So,
This
I
is
mean,
a little bit
so
instant
much.
gratification product too, and that always does well. This is a product that's going to kind of do its thing and show it right away and going to sort of sell itself because you will almost instantly feel the clarity from it.
Well, and initially just affectionately calling it bikini in a bottle, we were focused on the, hey, even if you aren't getting the exercise, obviously we recommend the exercise, but even if you aren't, your body thinks it's exercising. Your body is going to start responding as a body that is exercising. Like, let's not forget that, right? We've talked so deeply now about the other vast health benefits of Nueva Body. So let's not forget that one, that we are also very, very excited about Bikini in a Bottle,
Oh,
baby.
absolutely. I mean, weight loss is definitely a secondary benefit, and although we all love that, and that's what people generally gets people through the door to my office, it does so much more. That's the benefit that you're going to get from all the things that it does to your metabolism internally.
Incredible. Thank you, Dr. Sarda. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Good night. Okay, guys, for those of you who are still tuning in in the live stream, anybody who saw my message, there were some questions. We wanted to be able to use this as a tool. And just graciously, Dr. Sarda has agreed to stay around to answer some of the questions that we don't necessarily think everyone will ask right out of the gate. And we did our best to be succinct, but there's a lot to share on this. So I want, while we've got her, to ask just a few more questions here that you guys have been asking me, and I want you to hear from her. So let's see. One question would be um, the time frame for people to feel it, which you already said is going to be right away. And what things with this stacked peptide, what are they going to experience first, and what might take a little longer for them to experience, just for expectation's sake?
That's a great question. So right away, the mental clarity part comes and and the more focus and things like that. That's a pretty quick, and that's that 5 amino Q doing that. Then you get the energy boosting and from the NAD right after that. Those are pretty quick. Those you'll see within sometimes the day of and days to weeks. The weight loss, that's something that's still a fat burning process, and that's still going to be a 4 to 6 week process to do that. There seems to be a benefit with a little bit of food noise and appetite suppression, so that's always nice. And as you fix insulin resistance, you don't tend to be as hungry or have as much food noise. So after you've been on it for a little bit, say 3 to 4 weeks, you do notice the food noise and the cravings and the hunger start to get better. And that's a factor of breaking some insulin resistance. And now from the sloop side of it, because it is an exercise mimicking peptide, you can experience a feeling of like you've exercised a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people can actually,
Muscular
you know,
soreness?
get a little, you don't really so much get the lactic acid feeling, but you can get maybe a little sweaty. You can get maybe a little like a brisk walk kind of sensation. That's all completely normal in that sleep. It literally is activating the muscle mitochondria just as if you were exercising. Not to the point that you're going to be like you've run a sprint
Yeah, yeah.
or a marathon, but you will hear people say that, and that generally you generally feel that within the first hours of taking it. For overall benefits, though, you're probably looking at 4 to 6 weeks. Some people would argue even 8 weeks. By your first cycle, remember we talked about cycling?
Yes.
Cycle kind of gets everything going. You see how your body's handling it, what you're doing. You're starting to make changes. By your second cycle, you're starting to see and get real benefits. And by your third cycle, you know, you're there. If you just
I
and
can't wait to get my hands on this product. Oh,
so
my
he's
heavens.
talked about that, you know, that it being 2 months on, 1 month off. So I, you know, just really encourage people that 3 cycles.
Honor that.
I, no reason to stop after that. But I always tell my patients that I don't want you to judge this peptide or or these peptides we've stacked together until you've had 3 cycles of them.
Yeah, good, good, good. That's such a great way to, to give expectation. People
Yeah.
would ask with other products we've used, when am I going to see a result? And I would say something like, you take it for 90 days. Obviously, that's not what we're saying, but you take it for 90 days. Otherwise, you don't want to waste your money if you're not going to be committed to really going the distance with it and getting the benefits, right?
The
So,
nice thing about this one, though, is although you're waiting out that 3 cycles, you're getting some really immediate benefits of the mental clarity. And they're right when you take it. And when you're feeling some different things going on with muscle activity,
yeah.
things that you associate with using your muscles, not that you really feel anything happening in your muscles, but when you associate the same sensation as when you exercised pretty quick, then you know something's happening. So it really keeps people motivated to stay on
Oh,
this.
that's so good. That's so good. So this question was asked as well. Discuss sloop and whether or not it's safe for estrogen related breast cancer survivors.
Oh, wow, great question. Okay, so first of all, anytime you're talking about cancer, somebody should always be consulting their oncologist or their primary care provider. I think you would be
Right.
irresponsible to not recommend that. So I can tell you, so this product specifically works on the particular estrogen that's a gamma receptor. There's different ones. There's alpha, there's beta, there's gamma. We know that certain types of estrogen receptors are more dangerous to deal with, such as hormone replacement therapy in breast cancer. You know, we don't do that. I will tell you, there's been a lot of promising work with the gamma receptor. Now, it's definitely nowhere near um, a protective effect, nowhere near been proven at this point, but there is currently ongoing studies that working with the gamma estrogen receptor. It actually attaches to the gamma receptor. We call that an agonist, meaning they work together, they attach. And so I think data will be coming out soon about that.
Mm,
It would be fair to right now tell somebody that they could take it if they were a breast cancer survivor. I don't even know if their oncologist would feel comfortable at that point, just because there's no definite data out there. So I hate to play both sides of the fence, and that, as a physician, I have to be responsible and tell you that that there's not rock solid data out there. I can tell you they're trying to get it, though, and they're working on it in animal studies because we do know we like that gamma estrogen receptor a lot.
fantastic, fantastic. Let me just see if there's any other things here. Um, how does this interact? Are there any contraindications when used with other medications or such?
So probably just for completeness, I would say make sure that you make your physicians aware that you're taking peptides when they're prescribing medicine. Peptides are proteins. We are made of proteins. Peptides are safe. We don't seem to find any issue. I prescribe them all the time to everybody.
Yeah, and I can see how on that previous question, the caution that you were exercising. What I might add, if I was a breast cancer survivor, is I would probably do my own personal research on gamma receptors
Uh,
and see how that differs from estrogen related, you know what I mean? Like,
It's very different. There's a very clear data out there that stimulating certain estrogen receptors are harmful. And then there's data out there on the other receptors, such as the gamma, that don't
yeah,
seem to be. So
that's what this
when
product does, right? That's what this product does.
the
I
product
just
is
want
specific
to,
to the gamma. So, take that information and make your own decision, I think is kind of what you're saying, Margie, in
that would be that would be like if I was in that position, that's what I would do. And consult a physician. Oh, wait, I don't have one. Um, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that in front of Dr. Sarda. Um, okay. Um, let's see. Oh, can somebody get the same benefits from foods like organ meats, bone broth, beans, seeds, at all? Like,
Well, the problem with that is you can't be specific enough, and you have to eat so much in comparison to to what you can.
like your stomach couldn't hold everything you would need to eat to.
And we know exactly where these peptides go. We know exactly their mechanism of action. We know exactly what they do. So if you're gonna biohack, you kind of need to, especially stack and biohack, you kind of want to be precise. So I just can't imagine trying to come up with a concoction. And we all need to eat well. We need to eat healthy, natural foods. We know that. And we know pills don't replace foods, but that's not what we're doing here. We are again, I know I use that word a lot, but we're biohacking aging, and we're signaling the body in ways that we've stopped doing ourselves.
Yeah. Giving it the raw materials to do what it did on its own when we had higher levels, when we more naturally did these things. I mean, guys, to me, it is so simple. And since I dug deep into that NAD and the NNMT, that it prohibits that enzyme, I'm like, I want to shout this from the rooftops. I'm so freaking excited
I
about
think, I mean, I
it.
think all of us would love the NAD levels that we had at age 10, right now.
Yeah,
So you talk about giving us the raw materials, but it's also slowing down how we lose or break down those raw materials, or making up for the fact that we don't produce those as much of those raw materials anymore.
with age, with age.
And biotoxin exposure.
Yeah, yeah, right. Somebody said to me, um, I heard it causes, I heard peptides cause Parkinson's. And in my research, I came across stuff about, kind of preclinical and clinical data that says it, it enhances neurological support. It protects neurology, right? Like, so like the exact opposite. Um, it's beneficial for the brain.
Right.
Okay.
Mental clarity. I mean, it's well known to do that. That's why we use it.
Yeah, yeah. So guys, we had this part 2 session. I don't even know how many people are hanging out. I mean, we intentionally closed out the last one so that we could answer a few of these questions that maybe not everybody needed to know, but we wanted to make sure you had your questions answered. If anybody wants to just like really, let's see. Okay. Let me, here's another one. I told people they could message me. Is it safe for nursing women?
So that is not recommended if you're pregnant or nursing, because they will, most of them will cross into the milk or cross into the placenta, and we don't need to be enhancing uh, a newborn or a fetus or an infant. We don't need to be enhancing their production, because they already, under the age of about 18, you already have such good levels. The thought is you don't know what you're doing by speeding up metabolism or speeding up energy. And because we don't know, that's something I would not do. So I'm board certified in OBGYN. Obviously, this is very much in my wheelhouse. And I am very protective that children are not exposed to peptides, because they already have
They
these
don't need
phenomena.
it. They don't need it. And as goes the mother, so goes the baby, right? Another one, does bikini in a bottle encourage autophagy or is that just nitro? We've already,
So, so correct. Bikini in a bottle is probably not going to be known for that. You are getting fat loss and fat breakdown, and you are getting increased energy, but autophagy in and of itself, it really, really belongs in the nitro department. I also I saw one of the questions about will sleep increase your heart rate, and you may get a transient or maybe a few beats higher because we've got this exercise, but it's not going to, maybe a brisk walk or a little less than that, but it's not going to be, we should not have what we call tachycardia from it, or experience, like a sprint or a run from it.
it's just like when you put a bigger engine, right? And I mean, I don't know cars that well, but I'm talking about high performance. And when we start taking these peptides, we're turning ourselves into a high performance machine. And and
More
you know,
efficient,
that's
more efficient machine, and so you will more efficiently handle this.
yeah. And so if the heart rate increases a little bit, it's because everything's functioning at a boosted or more optimal level.
You are physically raising your metabolic rate.
Yeah.
So your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, is going to be increased. And anytime you do that, you burn more energy. But it's generally done through more muscle work, and so it's really well tolerated.
Okay, and then the next one, naturally derived or synthetic, we've already answered that. These are synthesized in a lab, and they are essentially bioidentical to naturally derived. How many total carbs per serving?
In our servings,
Carbs, like this couldn't have a very high carb content, right? Um, I don't even know if we know that answer.
no, I don't. It's,
No,
it's
we'll
not,
find
it's not something that would, I actually think I did see that and I remember being very impressed at how low it was, but that would make sense that it was low.
extremely low. And then they also ask for people who've abused carbs for many years, developed diseases, etc., are mitochondria functioning as less than normal. Can this product help improve or repair mitochondrial health? Well, I
Absolutely.
think we've
Mitochondria,
established that.
you actually do have mitochondrial biogenesis. They've proven in these animal studies that there's increased mitochondrial number as well as function. So no, absolutely. Gosh, if a carb abuser definitely needs the 5-amino Q part, because they need that food noise reduced, they need that clarity they need that discipline to say no that comes with that.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. I'm just looking at questions here. So what about with mental health meds? I know that the quick answer will be you've got to work with your own physician who understands all the variables, what you're dealing with, what you're taking, and so forth. So I know that will be the basic answer, but I don't even know how to say these. Quetiapine, sertraline, and
Those are all the antidepressant mood stabilizers.
antidepressants. Is it in a general way safe or
It's not been contraindicated with it. The thing you don't need to do though is abruptly stop those medications. So anytime you're introducing a peptide that's for that and that helps that, like the 5-amino Q, you don't you still want to remain on your medication and let your doc help you get off of them, or wean your way off of them. So that's my only problem with peptides is people get on, they feel great, and they think they can stop their meds all of a sudden. And I don't even let them do that in my practice. We responsibly come off our medication when we just make that decision. Um, so we initiate the peptides and then we do the work on the back end.
young male adults, can they take bikini in a bottle? I think any human that's over the age of 21, would you say? Or
18 is most of the work, discouraging peptide use in young people is based on kind of 18 and under.
yeah,
It is because you just don't need it. Not not that it's not safe, but you don't need it. So
Right,
that
right.
doesn't give you benefit. We're not trying to super physiologically, harm people or advance people. We want you to be on a norm, slow the path down.
Yeah, yeah. So anything over 21, we're looking at. Um, and will it be safe for somebody that's taking GLP-1? And I don't know whether that question comes as an injection or as a powder. We formerly had a GLP-1 booster. So
Sure. So GLP-1 is another peptide, right? And so it's just a part of peptide stacking. You see that stack frequently, whether it's injectable or oral.
see, this is why I wanted to have this after conversation, and we really only have 5 more minutes because
Okay.
promised Dr. Sarda we'd let her go at the top of the hour. But like these are such specific questions, and I want people to have the answers because the more educated this group of people become, the quicker we're going to be able to bring this to market and give people the reassurance and the answers and the safety and tell them to talk to their physician. Um, is it okay? Is it okay to take if a person gets clots from HRT? I don't even understand the question. So
So what they're talking about is when thick blood, basically, or you have a condition where you clot easily or thromboembolism. And when we do that, we generally don't recommend hormone therapy because it thickens blood. So because SLOOP is a estrogen receptor agonist, means it joins with it, it would it would not be in at this time determined in your best interest if you do form clots or have thick blood, it would not be a good idea to take.
so what about somebody that's in late midlife? I have a cute friend of mine who said, I'm 69. Can it help late midlife?
So
Hallelujah.
yes, yes, like I said, there will always be peptides.
In this body too. I can't wait. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this one is about, does it raise blood pressure or heart rate? And you've kind of already addressed
Yeah,
the, I think
I don't want people to get too fixated on that because
minimally on the heart rate and
mhm. Blood pressure, I haven't, no,
no on that. No on the blood pressure. Can you take this with type 2 diabetes and
yes,
injectables like Monjaro? Will that be too much?
no, it's fine. You
No,
can,
that's fine. Okay, Erica, there's the answer to your question on that one. I think we're almost through these. Replay, please. People wanting the replay. Um, let me just see if there are any others. I think the ones that were earlier were probably prior. Yeah, some of these were prior to the Zoom, and so they probably have already been answered. Okay, wait, one more just came over. Oh, and I think I know the answer to this, Dr. Sarda, but will this help with menopause?
so yes, there's
I knew it.
no question, because when do you have that weight gain? When do you start slowing down? And remember that anything with weight management and is gonna have potential benefits along that cardiovascular pathway. Insulin resistance, helping that. And that's one of the biggest things that increases at menopause is our cardiovascular status changes. So you have to be very protective of that.
Bring it. We're gonna live forever. We're gonna be the healthiest, wealthiest people on the planet. Okay, for a 67-year-old woman, oh, I guess that she's saying maybe she is, for a 67-year-old woman who has minimal estrogen, well, will this body product still work? Yeah,
So
right?
yes,
Or
it will. It is not hormone replacement therapy. I know you hear the word estrogen and people freak out, but it's just the fact that the pathways in estrogen deal with metabolism and energy and fat burning and mitochondria. That is so misunderstood. Estrogen just gets such a narrow thoughts and it's so misunderstood. All the benefits that come with it are so wide, so wide in the body And so yes, your long answer to take it postmenopausal for sure.
Yes, 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 and yes. Um, Pre, pro, and post, all of that, pre, during, and post. Somebody's asking about the lab. Let me just say a little something on that. Um, this is really important to me. And so I've done my scrutinizing and my research on this, and the lab that produces these for us, it's WHO, World Health Organization, good manufacturing practices, certified, since 2008, full panel of certificates of analysis with endotoxin, microbial, and heavy metal reports, endotoxin testing with every single batch, crafted 100% in-house, from synthesis to final purification, everything contained right there. So once you have confidence where these are being synthesized, and then remember the benefits of synthesis, the predictability, the sustainability, the exact dosage, know exactly what you have. And then with ours, because it's a, and incidentally, we have exclusive rights to this product. It comes in that pill, in the pressed pill, but in that beadlet form. So that helps with, the bioavailability of it.
I,
Um,
I think, Margie, people are going to get lots and lots of questions from the outside of, well, where do you get it from? Who do you get it from? I think your key things are that it's the GMP certified. That's the highest certification a lab can have. That's that good manufacturing practices that she just said. So that it's a GMP certified lab, because that means it's held to a certain standard and that that's checked by a third party, basically. So those batches all get sampled by a third party to be approved. So the GMP certification, and then the second thing would be that we do have certificates, uh, authenticity, and its purity. So that's probably your way to fight that question, because there's a lot of product out there all over the place now that does not have those, and this is how you can validate and verify that you're getting good stuff.
I just found that the thing that I was mentioning, mm, early research hints at neuroprotective benefits, neuroprotective benefits of sloop.
Mhm.
That's, I mean, that's big. And that answers a lot of questions, just that statement without even taking it any further. Okay, I think that we have done well, and we are at the top of the hour, and you are amazing. I know that you are getting lots of, you guys if you're still watching all of this, give a lot of hearts, give some applause to Dr. Sarda. Thank you so much for bringing your brilliance, your expertise, and for being a part of this with us.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right, we'll call that a wrap, you guys. I think we got a lot of questions answered. I think everyone is probably just like going to be waiting by their laptop for the minute they can possibly order this product. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Sarda. Again, thank you, Sean Nazimi. And this time it really is good night, everyone. Bye,
Good night.
y'all.